Greetings and welcome all to another segment of Let's Talk and Grow with Ms Roshumba. I must first of all give honor to our Creator, for which all things are and forever will be in this vast universe that we dwell in. Secondly, my inspiration for this show was due in part to my dearly transcendent friend, Mr. Early Laverne. A Rainbow of Poems is his first book that I have helped, or I did write for him, or had published for him. Let me clarify myself. Here's his picture, as I always show. He left me and his family in 2013. But his spirit still lives very much in my heart and around because he represents a lot of the challenges that African American men feel, not just here in America, but universally. And so I do my part by keeping his memory alive and showing that even on the other side, we're still here doing the work in spirit. So, that said, as we all know, I always start off by doing one of his poems. And today's poem is called, I'm Giving Up My Dream, by Mr. Early Laverne. I'm giving up my dream. It is produced of a selfish scheme. Such results will form a nightmare, for towards others I must demonstrate how profoundly I care. People today are truly wise and smart, kept and well preserved within your very heart. Active loving is far better than pain. Nothing in life does ever remain the same. Daily we're striving to remain alive. It's naturally wise for anyone wanting to survive. Our lifetime duties are to grow and build. We're equally inspired by God's divine will. Yes, I'm giving up my dream. Unity will strengthen up our team. So come correctly on the scene. There are no great rewards towards being mean. Hostility will cause you to grow insane. Elevating your mind will take you on a higher plane. I've always enjoyed watching a pleasant stream. I'm giving up my dream. Asheo, Mr. Laverne. Always, his poems were always so very special, very unique as he was. And I'm going to have a special treat for you all at the very end. Because I always share a poem of my own. But I have a little twist on the poem that I will be sharing at the very end. Yeah, I know you see I'm sitting here with a gentleman. And I'm going to turn my attention to him now. His name is Mr. Mark. And I'm honored to have him here as an African American man. He's the star of the story. So the black man speaks is what I'm talking about today. The black man speaks. Welcome, Mr. Mark.
Welcome, Sister Son.
Yes, I thank you so much for accepting the challenge to tell your story to the world. Because it's rare that anyone puts a microphone in front of a black man's mouth to speak his truth.
Sure.
They often want you to basically just be talking about how you got that ball in that hoop, how you got that ball across the 10th or 4th or 5th line. But they never want you to hear too much about what's happening in your heart and what it took to live in this country. So having you here today is not just to hear your story, because as an elder, I must give you respect. because there's many hoops, many crawling, many things that one has to do to make it to be a older person, as I am too. So I honor and respect you, and I know sharing and talking with you today will impact the younger youths that are coming and going through challenges. So I'm going to start by asking you a question. Mr. Mark, why is your story important to us all? Why should we want to hear what the black man has to say?
My story needs to be, first off, I want to thank you
Yes.
for your time and your effort on this project.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Talk a little higher.
Okay. And I want to thank you for the time and your talent in this project.
Thank you.
We're often overlooked because there is no value in the black man.
Did you hear the audience? He says the black men are often overlooked because they see no value in the black man. Speak to it.
Yes, yes. And my story has to be told and will be told,
Yes.
if not by me, by my offsprings.
Okay, okay, okay. I'm getting really in now. Let me adjust my chair. Yes.
So it's a pleasure
Thank you,
and an
sir.
honor
Yes, sir.
to have you narrate this process.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Respect.
You know.
Respect, black man, respect. Yes.
Yes. So that's the reason my story should be told.
Okay. Now, what would you say has been the most difficult obstacle you've encountered living as a man, a black man, in this country?
Sister, we don't have enough time for me to share all of it. Just a small portion in time
Exactly.
that I'm allowed to share this
Yes.
with the world and you.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
I am the 5th child of 8
Okay.
of my mother.
Yes.
My mother and father was born in the South United States.
Yes.
My mother was born in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Okay.
And my father was born in Mayo, like the Mayo food,
Yes.
Florida.
Okay.
He was the 5th child of 8 children
Wow.
of my ancestral grandmother,
Okay.
which my father is an ancestor also of my mother.
Okay.
And I was raised in the South, as so many others.
Yes.
And I would like to say, being from the South, you learn certain things were expected of you, and certain things you will automatically deem you should know.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
Now, I'm a bit nervous.
Yes, no problem.
I
No
will
problem.
I sound like I will bounce around, but I will come back to what
No.
the necessary process should be.
You know, we're not here trying to project that we are perfect in doing this kind of stuff.
Right.
Because ultimately our stories are ours, and however you choose to speak it today, you are the star. There's nothing that anyone should ever question about you. Okay, so I'm just proud that you are speaking and sharing, and I'm following right along with you, and I'm sure the audience is too.
Sure. So, unfortunately, I was raised in a house with 2 parents,
Yes,
and that's unheard of a lot
Rare.
in the South.
it's rare.
Rare.
The 2 same parents is the parents of all 8 of you.
All 8 of us.
Wow,
In the same house.
in the same house.
It was it was a bit bumpy in the beginning because my father was a military person. I'm a military brat.
Okay,
And my father was the legendary black paratroopers, called it triple nickel.
How?
And he is the first black airborne jump master these United States ever had in the beginning.
So he came from a family that was the first, created something that was the first.
Yes.
The first paratrooper jumper.
Black jump master.
Jump master.
They didn't let the black paratroopers jump in World War II.
Okay.
They sent them out here in the North Pacific to jump, to do so-called the most dangerous job a paratrooper can have, and that's a fire jumper. So all the black paratroopers were sent to the south, west.
Okay.
Seattle, Washington, Oregon,
okay,
and in the northern part of California.
Okay.
And they put out fires
okay.
for these United States.
Ah.
Okay. And completing that task, World War II was just about over.
Okay.
Then he was integrated into the 101
okay.
Airborne Division.
Okay.
And so, with that said, my father suffered a lot of setbacks and hardship when it came to his family.
Disappointments and
Yes.
different things that is aspiration, not
Right.
seeing it through.
Right. And so, it puts a burden on any military family. It puts a burden on our females.
Yes.
The most precious thing that we have is our black female.
Please say it again to the camera loud
The
and
most
clear.
precious thing that the African American family has is our 911 when it comes to problems, our black women.
Thank you for that,
Yes.
sir.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
And what he's explaining is, although because we live in a society that's toxic against us, any disappointment that comes up on our men, the effects of it is felt on the family, on the women. That's where I think he's going with this.
Yes. Yes.
And this is why we're having this show, because our families and our communities suffer this silent pain.
Yes.
And we could see how it is formed. Go ahead, sir, continue.
And the reason I mentioned this, what I'm saying,
Yes.
is going forward, my mother of 8 kids
Yes.
suffered, she was a pneumatic depressant.
Okay. So she was very depressed.
Very depressed person.
Okay.
And you would think, you would know, with me telling you my father's history,
Yes.
you would understand.
Why that would be.
You don't, what I've learned in life,
Yes.
and I'll get to that later,
Yes.
is there is no, I wouldn't suggesting that a young man leave a 20-year-old or even a 30-year-old wife
Right.
at home.
Right.
That's just not a good recipe for success.
Exactly. Young, pretty 20-year-old, go travel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he was doing his military obligation, and he spent 30 years in the Army.
It's a lifetime
Yes.
dedication.
But it had a toll on himself, his family, and one of the things that he had an issue with was infidelity.
Yes.
And so, with that infidelity, my mother had a nervous breakdown.
Correct.
And so, in order to see us survive, she had to depart us. She had to leave us
Early.
early. And at the time, I was 5 years old.
Mm.
My younger sister, she was only 6 months.
Oh.
My oldest sister, which is ancestral now, and also my younger sister, she's an ancestor.
Yeah.
She was about 15.
Okay. So what was the oldest one in the family at the time your mother passed?
It would be her first 2 adult kids,
Okay.
which was not from my father.
Okay.
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 And at that time, they would be 20, 21.
Okay. So it was not your mom, it was not your
My
father's
father's
children, but they lived in the home with mom.
mom,
Okay.
right.
All right.
So, upon her leaving, because of, I can imagine the
Broken
stress.
heart.
Yeah, broken heart.
Did she die of a heart attack?
Yes, she did.
You know, I had to say that because you have to know whatever it is that pains us usually is what takes us out. Yeah, okay, got you.
So, at that point, as you know, one of the governmental solutions is they want to call in child protective services.
Yes, because dad's busy working in the military.
And mom is gone.
And mom is gone, and there's no aunties, uncles, grandparents to come and help.
But I will say this. There was a period where we were separated. The two oldest, which is not of my father,
Yeah, mom's children.
mom's children, they were sent to their aunts and uncles in Florida,
Okay.
where we eventually
And
ended up in
okay.
Florida. But make a long story short, my oldest sister, my oldest brother was kept together, separated from the last three, which was my my middle-aged sister,
Yes.
myself, and my younger sister.
Okay.
We were all separated and sent to a farm. He was stationed in North Carolina,
Okay.
Fort Bragg, North Carolina. We were sent to a farm, community farm, and the people that, what is it when they not your adopted, but foster care.
Foster.
Right? We went to foster care.
Foster care. Because
Right.
dad's still in the military.
He's still in the military. So, before the judge would decide on our fate, it says, "Are you sure you don't have anyone in your family to take these kids?" And the guardian angel, I say today,
Yes.
I don't know if she was a guardian angel. Well, she was a guardian at the time,
Yeah.
or a curse. I'll explain that later.
Right.
She said, "I will take all 5 of those kids because in our family, we don't throw away our offspring."
You hear that? And this was a relative that did that?
My aunt and uncle. My
Aunt and
father's
uncle.
oldest sister.
Okay.
So the court awarded all 5 of us to my aunt and uncle.
Okay. This was your father's side or your
Um,
mother's side?
And my father's side.
Your father's side. Your paternal father's family.
Oldest sister.
Oldest sister.
She was living in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Okay.
She couldn't have any kids. So she says, she first went to my uncle and said that, asked him, would it be okay if she would adopt or have custody of her brother's 5 kids?
Right.
Well, with him not having any kids, he automatically said, manageable, we could save, or we could move around.
Right, right. So they finally, in moving along and happened next, what happened? Did it work out at your aunts and uncles?
Yes, from the time we arrived until I departed as a grown man.
So they basically raised you to
Raised-
adult.
Right. And the curse part of it is in the African American community, they believe or strongly in corporal punishment.
Corporal punishment.
And we know where that comes from.
Yes, and we know where that comes from.
Okay. And God bless their souls. They didn't have the proper. The state, let's put it this way. Child Protective Service is there for one thing. They're just making sure that kids are being taken care of properly, making sure kids have what they need.
Correct.
But they don't for African Americans. Now, counterparts they may be, but I haven't talked to anyone in the African American neighborhood that says that they gave them training, gave the elderly or the black couples that were receiving these kids.
Right.
They didn't give them any kind of formal training.
No.
You know, where you do this and you do that, and this will allow your kids to
better flourish and
you know, grow. You know, well, they don't do that for the African Americans. They just say, okay, we got somebody to take care of them. They're out of our hair. Good riddance.
Good riddance. And you know what you've just said is so important. They just didn't want to see you on the street.
That's exactly.
Secondly, your elder uncle and aunt, you know, just anybody in general, we don't really have a class in teaching us how to raise our children.
Sure.
And you know, if you're talking about that time, that was like the mid 20th century, around the 50s, 40s, around
1958.
Okay, all right. And so when we think of their childhood, you know, we're evolving out of slavery.
Sure.
So slavery was known very well for those types of treatment to us. I too suffered by that, and you know, and it was like normal to have a strap hanging on the wall that your grandparents would point at it and say, if you don't get yourself together, it's waiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
So generationally, we have to deal with this peeling back of our pain.
Right.
So I would imagine in your time, you didn't do corporal punishment. Are you married and have children yourself, correct?
Yes.
Did you?
None.
So this is how we really shed the toxicity of yesterday.
And I won't allow my grandkids to be corporal. There is no corporal.
Free of that.
Yeah, free of that.
Yes.
My daughters, that's one of the mandatory things that I ask. If you're going to raise my grandchild, you're not, I repeat, you're not going to beat them like they are some kind of snake or animal.
And they probably wouldn't, because you didn't do that to them.
That's right.
You spoke to them, so
Right.
they automatically know the importance of not doing that.
Right.
And so what you've shared with me is monumentous, and it also reminds us why we must talk to our children, why we must talk and tell our stories forward, because oftentimes we carry the pain and we just go through the motions.
So, and one of the things I want to emphasize to your audience and to you,
Yes, sir.
the reason I went that direction
Yes.
about the corporal punishment, or it could have been, they were our guardian angels.
Yes.
And a blessing in disguise and a curse.
And a curse.
Okay? It's, my aunt and uncle was in their 50s
When they got you
when they
on.
received 5 kids.
Whoa.
So the only education they know about is what their parents gave them.
Exactly.
Okay? So to the tune of,
Exactly.
I'm gonna say this because it hurts so bad. Some of the corporal punishment that I received as a child is, they even go to jail for today.
Yes.
Okay?
It's downright abuse.
Abuse. I was lashed with rubber hose. I was tied up, beaten with a fan belt, beaten with an extension cord. Anything that they can get their hand on, it's a true saying. So I'm a living witness to that. And for a child to be...
Did you hear what he just said? To be tied up
like a hog.
like a hog and beaten by those that are there to care for you. So, you know, we must question anytime we reach out and we hurt those that we profess to love and care about. Because the enslavement eras of our lives still shows up in different ways.
Yes, it does.
It shows up in how we treat those we say we love. It shows up in how we treat our women by the men, men by the women, our children, our community.
So
how did it affect you as an adult?
A lot of counseling. To the tune is when someone say corporal punishment, and not only that, I was raised in a time when the South or these United States was in a transition and integration.
57 was the beginning of that, right?
60s,
Yeah.
65, 66.
It's when they actually
64,
started,
right,
63
right.
they enforced it, but
Right.
57 is when it started the conversation
About it.
to do it, correct.
So when I went to school, we were made to leave our most precious gift God gave to the black community, our
School.
our community.
Right.
You know, our as they say, our village.
Right.
I had to leave that precious cocoon.
Yes.
We didn't have killings. We didn't have murders.
No.
We didn't have theft. We could leave the door open all day long.
That's right. You had everybody caring for everybody's children.
If you did something across the street before you got home, they didn't need no telephone.
Exactly.
Your parents knew that you had did something wrong.
Audience, did you hear that? One people, one community.
And I see the difference.
Right.
And one of the things I can say, one of the things that I understand now, what Dr. Martin Luther King said about his fighting for us to be integrated.
Yes.
He delivered us to a burning building. Okay?
I agree with you.
All right.
I agree with you on that.
We had to abandon our schools.
And ultimately, all the African people were really asking for is better quality building, better quality books rather than the used leftover books that's given to us at the end of the year from the other schools, better buildings, better food, better everything to support it. Maybe not even the food, but ultimately we knew the teachers that stood in front of the classroom was
They're
an
from our
auntie in the community and they cared.
Right.
So I'm not surprised now that we have so much coming through the school system that really can't read.
Mm-hmm.
They drop out of school. They've turned against themselves, therefore their community, because I realized that integration was that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Those 9 students that
Little
went
Rock
to
9.
school, right?
Little Rock
9, they went to school for a whole year. They had the National Guard that accompanied them
And
because nobody really wanted them to be there.
now, couldn't y'all keep this thought?
Yeah.
One of the things that I see now as an elder in my family
Mm-hmm.
is that we were better off if we would have just been left alone.
Yes.
And the only thing we were really asking for, what I see now, is shared resources. That's all we ever need.
Shared resources.
And America, these United States of America has a bad problem with sharing resources.
So here is my question to you, because you know the changes occurred because our leaders sat down with their leaders to come to that conclusion. And you know we have the ability now to say it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
It did not work because we are some of the generations that have gone through it, and could say, well, it didn't work for these reasons. So we want to adjust it. Now, when you say change and go back, well, going back is not necessarily good. It's going forward and creating it different and maybe answering the question of why we tried to do it to begin with. We were trying to get better quality stuff.
And it felt, our counterparts felt that they have always known what's best for the African American community,
Yes.
which is the biggest untruth.
Nonsense.
Yeah. It's just a big it's a big nonsense untruth, and they know this.
And the reason why they would say that is they have taken us from our country and nurtured us to be an oppressed people. So yeah, they know what we need
Mm-hmm.
as an oppressed people,
Mm-hmm.
how to keep us in our place.
Right.
They know how
That's
to
exactly.
maintain the stress, tighten the screws here so that we could be obedient people and be inferior. Not superior, but be inferior. And when you come out of your place, we know what you do to put you back.
Mm-hmm. And our counterparts deals in one thing and one thing only. And it's called intimidation.
Intimidation.
It's nothing else.
Nothing.
They're not afraid of us.
That's right.
Okay?
Right.
They know that we are no better than them. This is called the United States of America for a reason. We are in this together, and you can't get around it. And until they face that, and you and I face that,
Yeah.
there's the defeat that we are looking at will always happen.
Will always happen.
Okay.
And I love what Mr. Mark has said, you know, and especially the fact that he started the conversation speaking about his father having been in the military. and spent over 30 years in it.
Mm-hmm.
And what that represents when you have dedicated your life to the country and willing to die for it if need be.
That's right.
There's no other culture that has Johnny come lately that could say that they fought in every war since the conception of this country, like the black man.
That's right.
And the African American man has a strong hold in this country. And there's been an echo recently about reparation. What's your thought on that?
Reparations. Reparations can come in several different forms.
It comes in several different forms. Okay.
I don't subscribe to write me out a check and I'll go down and get a Cadillac and
Right.
Kumbaya and everything is made over. There's too many unanswered solutions that we need to obtain
Yes.
before we can be whole.
Yes.
And part of reparations,
Yes.
we need the educational system that was ripped out from
Yes.
us. We need the financial system that was deprived of us.
Yes.
We need the provisions that
Right.
was stolen from us.
Yes.
We need the protection that is not afforded to us. Okay? Those items, if we can start working on those, I feel reparations will work.
Yeah.
But to just cut everybody a check,
No.
is the check a good example? You and I know
Yeah.
our $1 bill
Yeah.
only lasts how long in our community? 30 minutes
30 minutes.
at the most. And it's getting now, it's less than 30 minutes. It's like
Exactly,
15 minutes.
yes.
Okay? And so what I'm saying with this
Yes.
is the monies that we would get from reparations, any kind of monetary monies,
Right.
it's gonna go right back in their hands anyway.
Exactly.
So monetary wise, financial, yes, give us access to the banks, the credit line that we need for our small businesses. Okay, the credit line we need to get a decent car. I don't want to pay 21% in my counterpart with no credit, no job, paying 3%.
That's correct. So there's a lot of, economics is a big part of it, but I always say that every African American family should be given a house. You should not ever have to buy your home, because if we think of the American dream, it's getting a home, right?
Part of Reconstruction.
Yes.
Part of Reconstruction
Was that?
40 acres and a mule.
And a mule.
I don't expect
The 40.
I don't expect the 40 acres, okay?
Right.
But give me the mule,
Exactly.
okay?
And maybe the mule, but I say we need a house also, because
Yeah, well, give me a mule
everyone-
unless you got some place to grow it, will it?
Right.
Okay, that's
right,
what I mean. Just
right.
give me the mule.
Yes.
You don't have to give me the 4 acres, I accept the mule. Because I know I got to have a barn, I got to have the facilities, the resources to take care of the mule.
Right, right.
Okay?
If you're in the South, in the country,
Yeah.
but things have changed a lot. But ultimately, there's a lot of people on the streets, homeless.
Okay,
And we see a lot of it being black men
okay.
and black women.
Okay.
You know, what's your take on that, sir? What do you think is going on? Why, is it that what's your thought about that? What's happened to make it be so prevalent, more so now than ever before?
It's the this one term that they're using. It's the when Obama was president.
We're in the Obama room. That's why he pointed to the wall at
Yes.
Florence Square. There's Obama room. Yes, he's all over the wall.
When Obama was president,
Yes.
the first thing they say after he spent his
First term.
first term and his second term, the 8
Yeah.
years, the first thing our counterpart says, backlash.
Yes.
Backlash.
Okay. Ah.
Okay, and now you know where I'm going with this.
Yes, sir.
Before the backlash, before the prison industrial conflict
Yes.
took over,
Yes.
like the military complex, if you were down and out, you need a place to stay, you could go get a place to
That's
stay.
correct.
Okay?
Affordable.
Affordable. Regardless
Even
of
if
your
you got Social Security.
you could go get a place to stay.
Correct.
But because the backlash from Obama and the post-segregation segregation that they, what is it, the post-racial after Obama. So there's no racial problems anymore after Obama.
Okay.
Which you and I know is, that's another lie.
It's a facade.
Yeah. So
illusion.
They took away public housing. Okay. We frowned on public housing, but public housing was a roof over your head.
Yes.
Okay. They took that away, and they says, okay, now we took away public housing, and and the thing about it is, God has a way of reversing a traumatic situation in our community.
Yes.
Such as, it's more whites homeless than it is black. I'm just saying,
That's correct.
I'm just telling
Yes.
you, okay? So the backlash that they were, quote, trying to say or feel that they were, and a good example, you hear this all the time.
Right.
Oh, the middle class whites feel, no, they don't say white, they say the middle class says they are being unjustly treated.
Okay.
The middle class, I said, well, wait a minute. You think about it, I said, well, who is the middle class in these United States of America? It's all of us, okay? It's not just whites. They don't act like they don't want to work. There's more blacks working for less money than them.
And you know, the fact that you said that and draw that focus on who are the middle class, you see, what it does is it highlights that there are two narratives running side by side.
There you go. You see? Now you get it. Okay.
There are two narratives. So what you're saying is President Obama was a president for us and not them.
Them.
And so therefore, that's why they have to backlash and brought in who their president was. Trump. Their Trump card. So I could see it, and if most of us have to get up every day and go to work.
They're like our counterparts.
Exactly. When you go to work every day trying to make a living, then that's where you see the effects of this kind of energy played.
So they took away public housing because it was they figured it was too many, quote, of us getting public housing. They put restrictions on public housing. Oh, you can't have a criminal record.
Right.
You can't be bald. You can't be blind. You can't be stupid. Everything that is known obstacles were put in the way to keep the needy and the downtrodden from getting public housing. Okay?
So that's why, you know, sitting here with you today and just hearing you touch on two important, your personal life story and what you have had to deal with as a black individual, all of us in this country. You know, I often say we wake up every day and I have to first give thanks to the Almighty that sees that I'm still worthy to be here through all that we've been through. But to wake up every day and have to play defense every day. You know, what we're doing here and you telling your story is our ability to play offense. Because we're highlighting it to those that have not had time to even sit and know that these things are happening simultaneously. So when you see a black man on the street, when you see a black woman on the street, when you see our people anywhere, you have to know they are carrying some weights that are so vicious and deep that for them to even literally be standing up, it speaks to who we really are. Because we have a system that would hope that in the corporal punishment that he suffered as a child, that he could have died. And it damaged, that he could not have even been a father. Somebody's father, somebody's husband, somebody's uncle.
I'll say these two things, and then we can move on.
Yes.
For the corporal punishment in my life that I've seen, and in my family life that I've seen, I've had an ancestral uncle that I had to last summer,
Yes.
I had to go and memorialize from a situation or an organization. He was sentenced at 14 years old in Florida
Yeah.
for stealing a bicycle. They gave him 6 years in the notorious Florida School for Boys. Look it up.
Florida School for Boys.
In Marietta, Florida.
And he was sentenced at 14 for 6 years
for
there,
stealing a bicycle.
which changed his trajectory of his entire life.
Matter of fact, he is one of the ones that they are still looking for DNA. He was killed in that notorious formatory school.
In that 6 year he was there.
It was there.
This happened when you were a young child.
No, that was happening in the 20s.
In the 20s.
Okay, that's how far the brutality I can record in my family through the hands of
The system.
Of the system.
Of the system.
Of the system. Okay. Now, fast forward, and I said, we can move on to hit this one.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing that, because my heart is heavy, but we need to hear this. It's very painful, but we must understand what we're dealing with.
Yes. So, with my father being in the military, with me volunteering for the military.
Okay.
I didn't go in the army. I went in the Marines.
Okay.
I wanted to go a separate way.
Yeah.
Okay?
I joined the Marines.
I joined the Marines.
But he still served the country, okay?
I did my obligation of 6 years.
6 years.
Every military person knows that when you volunteer back in the 70s, 60s, and all the way to the 80s, I think that was the last one, you have a 6-year obligation.
Okay. It used to be 4.
No, it's always
Always
been
been
6
six?
years.
Okay.
Always been 6 years.
Okay.
On an enlistment.
Okay.
I enlisted for 4 years.
All right.
I did a 4-year enlistment
Okay.
out of a 6-year obligation.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
2 of them were spent inactive
All
reserve.
right. Okay.
If you do 2 years active duty, you still have 4 years in reserve.
Okay.
It's part of your 6-year obligation.
Okay.
And I'm saying this, and I'll be done, we can move on. No matter what was done to me as a youth, no matter what was done to me as a man
Yes.
today, I have the utmost respect for these United States of America, and I would give my life if it came for me to protect these United States of America. And that's sad.
Did you hear what he just said, audience? At any means necessary, he will shed blood for this country. He has the utmost respect for it.
And
now,
I'm
can
not
you
gonna
tell
leave.
me why?
Because I don't know where else to go.
Okay, is that the reason why?
Yes.
Or is it because your ancestors paid the
The
price
price.
and built it for free
Freedom.
for 200 and some odd years
Right.
and tried their best to make it right to where you sit today?
That's right.
So he has an investment in this country.
A big
A
investment.
big one.
Yes.
And so Africa could be there. We'll use Africa to support it, but this country is the black man's country.
Yes. I'm not going nowhere.
Speak it.
I'm not going anywhere.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And in our ability to make it better, because as you can see, generationally, it's gotten better for
Sure.
that you could sit here now and
And
speak
speak
freely
this.
your story. And I would imagine your children and grandchildren are flourishing better than you, even though there are obstacles in the way.
Yes.
But the key is to understand is that what he says, America belongs also to the black man, the black people.
Mhm.
It's their what would you say, their jewel, because the key is to know your story, because you can have it, but if your day is spent playing defense, then you're not using it wisely.
Right.
You know, you're not using it wisely, because every day they want you to forget. They actually want you to pretend that you just got here and all the Johnny come lately comes and trump you.
Mhm.
You know, because there's a lot of immigrants that came from different wars that America was involved in, and when they come home, everyone followed them home too.
Yes.
But the black people must know, you must know your history. You must know what happened. You must not just rely on the ones you get in the school, but you must rely on the ones that you get from your own research. You must connect the dots, because whoever controls history controls the present.
Yes.
And whoever controls the present controls the future. So if we are still fighting each other, if the man is still abusing his woman, if the family is still abusing their children, if we allow abuse from the people on our job, when we go to work, it's not to go to work to be subjugated by those same families and descendants of the oppressors on us daily, and then come home and meet up with pain there. We must be clear what happened. We must be clear who we are and why we're still here. Because out of truth, we shall not fail if we stand with truth. I know we've been talking for a while, and I know the videos are long, folks. I know it is very long, but you see, our story should not be able to be just tied into 1 hour. It really shouldn't. You know, I wish we could turn on the channels like MSNBC, CNN, and all those networks and really speak this truth, the heart of the people. You see, and the key for me is not to chase down money. Money is the distractor. Money is the reason why they can use us in any way they choose to. We must be clear about that. It's the weapon of division. So I'm hoping this show could be a way to shine the light on going deeper inwardly. So, Mr. Mark, I'm going to ask you 2 more questions, and then we're probably going to close. Because
I don't want to. I could say what I need to say. Really, in about 15 minutes.
No, but you know what? I hope one day we could go and revisit different parts of your story.
Very well.
Because you've lived a lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
And when I met you, you know, just looking at you, you always had a smile on your face and just happy and peaceful. So it's a reminder that, you know, the Creator will not take you where He will thou will not hold you and keep you. And so we are a people that have been through some devastation.
Oh, big
but
time.
look at you now, sir.
Yes.
Look at you.
Yes.
Much respect to you.
I'm going to complete by His will my task that I was put here on this earth to do. That's one thing I do know.
That's right.
You know, I'm promised 4 scores, which is 70. I'm 68 now, so I ain't got far to go.
That's correct. You look great.
Thank you.
You look great. And audience, his smile is just reflected in his eyes. I hope you could see it. But I'm going to ask him 2 questions.
Okay.
Is black love fading away? What is required of the black man and black woman to heal our divide?
Is black
Love
fading away, and what will it take to heal our divide?
Yes, sir.
I have seen that love portion you're speaking about up close. Been
Yes.
married 3 times.
Yes.
The first time is what I spoke about earlier. I married an older woman,
Yes.
and I was overseas
Yes.
in the Bahamas. After I got out of the Marine Corps, I went to work for the federal government in the Bahamas.
Okay.
State Department in the Bahamas.
In the Bahamas. Okay, Caribbean island.
And I spent 7 years there, but in the latter portion of it, I came back to the States, United States, and I fell in love, or met a young lady, fell in love, and decided to get married.
Okay.
Well, falling in love is the ideal because that gives you a chance to see yourself grow.
Correct.
in the relationship.
To grow in relationship,
Okay.
correct.
But I disrespected her.
Yes.
And what I mean by that, I allowed myself to go against all the principles of the family,
Right.
family unit. And most black families in that period of time, especially if you have two consenting and respectable adults in the family, they don't prefer that you stay with your
Spouse.
they don't suggest that you stay what they call shack.
Okay.
Shack up. Yeah,
Okay.
shack up
What
with
most people are doing
your
now.
future wife.
Okay.
Okay, that's like getting the what they say. That's like getting the pot. I mean the kettle, whatever
Yeah.
they say it is.
Yeah.
Okay?
Shortcut. Get
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Getting what you shouldn't get until you
Right,
earn
you
it.
getting the milk before you before it's time. Okay. Well, anyway, I broke that.
Taboo.
I broke that golden rule. It's a
Okay.
golden rule.
Golden
and
rule,
you
yes.
know that's in our family. okay?
Right.
And I explained to her that why. So let me move on. I was a young man. I was 25 years old at the time.
How old was she? Was she younger or
no,
older?
she was older.
Okay.
She was in her 30s.
Okay.
Okay, 32, 31,
Okay.
something like that.
Okay.
Anyway, make a long story short, we fell in love, got married, started a family. I went back to the Bahamas.
Okay.
Well, like I said, 20, 30, even a 40-year-old woman, you just don't leave
Right.
to fend for themselves.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Black women need protection.
Protection
They
and the
need
support.
And love.
And love. Okay?
All of that.
All of this makes a relationship.
Yeah, because we are women. Exactly.
I don't think so. She ended up getting. She got pregnant
By someone else.
by someone else,
Okay.
and we were married.
Yes.
So as you can imagine, that
Sit
was
well with
that-
anyone.
no, yeah, so ended up getting a divorce.
Yes.
Okay. Then I was in my 30s then.
Yes.
I married the second time,
Yes.
and she was 18 years old, and me in
Okay.
my 30s.
Okay. So you
Okay.
kind of flipped it a little.
Right.
bit.
It was a little. It was,
Yeah. Now you're older, she's
yeah.
younger, right?
So, as they say, and I'm
Yeah.
guilty. What is it? I was it's a word. It's a
Not
word
rocking the cradle.
No, it wasn't robbing the cradle.
Okay.
It was when an older man tries to reach back for his youth.
Oh, midlife crisis.
Midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Okay? So
In your 30s?
in my 30s.
Ah.
And the reason I say it was a good thing and a bad thing is because I've already done that.
Yes.
Been there, done that.
Good point.
Okay. So it didn't come. I haven't experienced that now that I'm in my 60s.
Right.
And you got people that's in their 60s trying to go back and get people in their 30s and 20s.
Right.
That ain't gonna happen.
No,
Okay.
there's only one driving force
Yes.
that usually is driving that force.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
So, her and I broke the tradition, got married,
Okay.
and had 2 kids.
All right.
Okay. That relationship lasted less than 1 year.
Yes.
Okay, about 8 months.
But she had 2 children for you. So you still saw each other after.
After.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what happened, why we can't work it out.
Yeah, we had some civility, okay?
Yes,
All right. So, time moves on, and then I had a relative here in California that became sick. And the family says, okay, well, you're the closest one. Once you move to California, now that you're divorced and you're single, once you move to California. I moved to California 25 years ago and met my 3rd wife.
Okay.
But I didn't break tradition with her.
Okay.
We didn't check.
Yeah.
We went together for 3 years. She had maintained her place, and I had my place.
Yeah.
Okay? And we both had good jobs. She's a nurse. I worked for Kaiser. And so everything worked out just well so far. Okay?
So wisdom caught up with you. You got wiser, you figured out third time is a charm, and you're still married now.
Still married now.
Okay.
So, as I said,
Lovely.
the love of my life, my soulmate forever. Okay.
Respect.
And so, no kids with her.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we regret.
Yeah.
We both regret. There's no
Because
kids.
of the time that you came together.
Right.
You know, and it just goes to show you that, you know, love will always find its way.
It will.
And, you know, as we are struggling to find ourselves as a people, because, you know, when he told his story about his upbringing, what he saw with his father, he kind of almost emulated some of the, you know, what his father did in his life.
Yeah.
So this is how you get to see that we pass on certain traits unbeknownst to us. And in so doing, you did find love and a partnership.
There you go.
And, you know, I always say love is not lost. It's sometimes when we are ready within ourselves to see each other fully and to be present, show up now, not trying to reach back to what we didn't get when we were young or reach forward to what we need to heal. You know, there's so many things, and just even to add, the relationship between the black man and the black woman, I'm coming to see that it becomes a partnership.
And that's what I was getting to sum it up.
Yes.
It's creating that partnership that you knew and you seen in your mother and your father. You know, regardless if she raised you up by herself or he raised you up by himself, you know. But they had that interwoven relationship that they could depend on. Some. But that's the key.
Yeah, that's what we hope for.
Yeah, that's the key to our evolution when it comes to black love.
Exactly.
It's the partnership.
It's partnership. And sometimes we don't see that growing up.
Yes.
Matter of fact, when we study it, if we have time to study what happened with mom and dad, like when you spoke about your father being gone working all the time, mother overwhelmed, father starting a different family out there, that's not really a partnership.
But no, that's
But in his time, he started to look and say, well, that didn't work for them, but maybe I won't do it for me. And if he slipped and tried it, he could adjust himself a little bit better because he remembers the road of his childhood. So that's why we're connected to one generation to the next. And our goal is that our children go further than us.
And one of the things that I can relate to or I want to bring forth is there was the 3 R's in school: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Right?
Okay, yes.
Okay. Let's flip the script on that. In a relationship, it should be respect. It should be responsibility. Okay.
Right.
And what's the other one I want to use? Three.
Respect, responsibility.
There's another R right there. Romance.
Oh! Romance! If you don't take care of her, somebody else will. If you don't take care of him, somebody else will.
Okay.
But romance is not always in the bed trying to make a baby because it changes as you go along. I got your flowers, honey.
Yeah.
I see you.
Tonight is date night. Okay?
Yes.
The same thing, as they say, the same thing that you did to get her, you're going to have to do the same thing to maintain her. Okay? Yes. And a good example. Don't be shy if you have to go to marriage counselors.
That's right.
Okay? Because romance or the time period that you meet someone, they're going to change.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So with that change is going to come communications.
Exactly.
And in that communication, you might not know how.
Yeah.
But that's what what is a counselor or someone in the professional can help you along with it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Because what you're working through when you have to see a counselor is why you would want to put your hands on her.
Thank you.
It's why would you see her almost like a child that she should be subjugated behind you. There's something sinister that is occurring when you feel that you are over somebody that chose to be with you. So it's really, can you speak to that?
Yes. Here is what I'm going to say that my father taught me.
Yes.
And I say this to
Say it to the camera.
and I say
out
this to
there.
every young man that's trying his best to maintain a family, trying his best to maintain a relationship. If it comes down to physicality, leave immediately. Drop all that you have, you're doing, and leave. And my father told me one thing. He said, if you have to haul off and run, run.
Run.
Seriously.
Yes.
Because the softest part of a woman's body is her head, her crown. So that's what I say about that.
Okay. And I thank you for that, because it's part of that corporal punishment that continues now, but it's man to the woman, I can't, maybe the women get mad and put their hands on men too, it could happen, but it's usually the other way around. And it's easy to happen.
It's easy, and here's the thing. If a man truly speaks up and say what is right, a woman cannot hurt a man.
No.
Physically.
No.
Okay? She would have to use an object.
Exactly.
All right? And most time a woman don't have an object. Okay? Unless you throw a glass or
Her
something.
mouth,
Yeah.
her mouth could be an object and a weapon. That's how women let it out.
Yeah.
So we know that. So I like what you say, run or leave.
Leave.
But the other important thing is to understand why you would even want to do that.
Thank you.
And so that's where researching your history becomes very important. Very important. So I'm gonna finish with the last question. The most valuable commodity we have is
The black woman.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The black woman.
The most important commodity in the African American and these United States is our black female.
Because without us, there would be no carrying you forward.
No, I
without
wouldn't
us,
be
we could not hold up the
would not be here.
family.
Wouldn't be here.
So why would you want to hurt
The most
gentle-
precious thing that we have. And it's a little known. Now, I wouldn't say it's little known.
You put a smile on my face when you said that, you know.
Our counterparts
Yes.
know the significance that the African American woman holds in these United States and in our community. So that's the reason they're always trying to separate us. Because they know the backbone of me, the backbone of any African American man is his woman.
Thank you. Thank you. And what do you say now, sir, when you see a lot of your African American women walking into the arms of them? What is your thought about that, sir?
It's because we, as African American men, need to stand up, one. Two, we need to acknowledge that. Ask for her forgiveness. Ask for her leadership in this. She has a lot to share. We just need to, we just need to talk.
Thank you for that.
That's it. It's nothing you did wrong.
Thank you for that.
Half of our men, 45, 50% of African American men are locked up.
Yes.
Y'all have to have the African American woman, she needs love like anybody else. Okay? And if she can get it over that, I have no quarrels of it. Okay?
But we must understand that there was a plan to drive us away from each other and into their arms.
And you know what? A lot of people don't know, and I found out today.
Why would you say?
I know why.
Tell me.
Do you not know, within 60 years, let's put it this way, we only have 60 growing cycles in this United States of America. Did you not know that?
60 growing?
Growing cycles, yes ma'am.
Okay.
And you say why?
What?
It's because we have, we have destroyed the topsoil.
Okay, as far as the earth is growing through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Secondly, the global warming
Yes.
that we suffer.
Yes.
Okay? That pinhole that used to be that says in the, the atmosphere or the ozone.
Ozone.
Okay?
Yes.
It's widening. and his wife.
Correct.
But you know the results of that? You know the byproduct of that?
Yes. The sun and the effects of it on our skin and our ability to protect ourselves through melanin.
And guess who don't have melanin?
So they need to have more babies, darkened babies.
Now you get it.
Okay.
They really don't want our women.
No.
But they know that for them to survive, they have to create more melanin in their world.
Wow, that's an interesting way to look at it. And you know what? As we study, as we research, as we learn from wise individuals like Mr. Mark, we can only get smarter and understand what is going on. And so we must be open and learn. And hopefully the show that I'm bringing to you, Let's Talk and Grow with Ms. Roshumba, is allowing that to occur. Because I don't profess to be degreed by the universities that we create, Harvard and Spelman, and not Spelman is good, but you know the other ones, you know. Mine is from many years of studying, reading, many years of introspecting, also, of course, being anointed by the Most High Creator in the universe. Wisdom has come home to me. So that said, I'm gonna end by reading a poem, and it's really not a poem. It actually was my inspirational morning thoughts that I got yesterday morning. And so hopefully someone could feel what I felt when it came to me. It's called Almighty Speaks. In this, I refer to God in the name Ra, R-A, just to let you know. Almighty Creator, Thou is shaking up creation in a momentous of ways. Those that have been living an illusionist life only in search of their insatiable desires have now paused to ask the whys of it all. They will soon bear witness to thy powers, for they have been existing in a false bubble, terrorizing and dominating Ra's creation. The question my ancestors have asked inwardly and outwardly, generationally, is how long will they be allowed to destroy what thou hast created for all of us? I, in my soon and fast approaching golden years, must confess that I haven't always seen fully thy actions in real time. For I too was submerged in the toxic fantasy they have created to dominate the airways of communication generationally. Propaganda gone amok. The years we spend making an honest living has instead been uniquely designed by the oppressors to continue our daily subjugation. Mental and physical control drains us from our ability to see who and what we are, and most of all, why we are here and to whom we must serve. I choose time in 2012 after having resigned in 2002 January. For my physical being was wearing out fast. For when you are mentally and physically held in captivity, all for the sake of money, they can take your mind and your body will follow. I believe that Ra will reward you with a healthy way of living when you choose to follow a spiritual way of being. Most will not understand what I've stated, for their lives are spent on an outward way of being. Ra will not take thee where thou cannot maintain thee. So it all comes down to trust, truth. Trust Amin Ra. As you trust the sun to rise and shine each day, trust Ra in all ways. As you trust the wind to blow the air you breathe, trust Ra to make thou's life and ease. Trust Ra from the cradle to the grave for all that you be.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
So again, I hope that you heard and learned and just soak in what you've heard today. And I hope you were able to watch it to the end too, because you wouldn't hear me say this if you didn't.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure,
and an
Mr.
honor.
Mark.
And I thank you from the bottom of my heart and my family.
Thank you
Sure.
too.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Blessed. And may your family just grow with health and strength, and the whips and the pain of the past just becomes their jewel for the future.
Yes, I guarantee you that's what is going
Yes.
on.
Asheo, amen.
Okay.
Well, we'll see you next time. Thank you. Subscribe, thumbs up. And for another session, we'll meet again.
Thank you.
Bless. Whoa.